Hi there guys, today we're going to be taking a look at Corsair's Obsidian 250D. And yes, as you may well have guessed, this is the first mini-itx computer chassis from Corsair, and it's yet another addition to that Obsidian line, which now has a total of 7 cases. And it really shows Corsair's persistence and their dedication to that product line. The 250D embraces the characteristics which many have come to love over the years, but we now have a condensed computer chassis for those system builders which really demand a small form factor. Pricing for this new model are as follows. In the UK you can expect it for around £70. If you're over in the US it's going to be around $89, and then in Europe it's going to be anything between those two figures. So we're now going to jump in and we're going to take a good look at this new case. If you've got any questions or comments, then please feel free to drop them in the box below. And if you're after the full review, make sure you hit that link in the description. This front panel is brushed aluminium, and it is actually detachable. All you need to do is press on either corner like this. It drops down and you can take it out, and this is part plastic, part aluminium, and it is actually quite sturdy. On the inside there we've got a dust filter, which is again removable. We've got 2 clips up here, just need to pull these towards you and that can be taken out, and obviously taken out and cleaned, put under a tap if necessary. As you can see here at the front we've got a 140mm cooling fan, and this is actually Corsair's own solution, so it's the AF140, and this is configured to be an intake, so it's going to push air across the system. And actually we've got mounting holes around here. You may well be able to make them out. They are for a 200mm fan. So if you want to swap that 140 out and go for a bigger size, then you can do. And the way that this pulls in air is from around the sides of that front panel. You can see there a small cavity because this front panel is obviously solid and it's without any ventilation. At the top we've got a single 5 1/4 drive bay cover, which adopts the same design as the front panel to keep everything consistent. And then on the left hand side we've got a power button which has an activity LED, and then on the right we've got the front panel connectivity with those 2 USB 3 ports, so via the internal motherboard header, and a headphone and a microphone jack. Now at the top of 250D we've got this steel panel, and we've got a Perspex window marked down. That just gives you a bit of a preview inside the rig. And just like the side panels, this top panel is removable. Just need to remove 2 thumb screws, and then this simply slides out, as you can see. And you know, on a conventional case, this top panel is usually fixed in place, and it's only a certain section of it which usually is detached, but having that completely removable gives you plenty of flexibility. Both sides of 250D are identical in their appearance. So we've got a steel panel, and then we've got this perforated mesh section, and we can't actually attach any cooling fans to that, but it does offer some ventilation. Now I've taken out the 2 thumb screws just to show you. On the underside there we've got a removable dust filter, and that is magnetic, so it fixes into place really easy. No need to get a screwdriver out or anything like that, and that can obviously be taken away, given a good wash if it does get dirty. Over on the other side we have the same design, and I've just taken the thumb screws out. We've got a dust filter which is again removable with those magnetic strips. And the difference with this side is we've got this bracket here which can take 2 120mm cooling fans, and Corsair have actually included an AF120 cooling fan, you can see there, and that is positioned to be an exhaust. Now this bracket here, because it can take 2 120s, gives you the allocation for a 240mm radiator. With the case now open, we're going to take a closer look at the different attributes of 250D. I'm going to start by taking a look at the power supply and the motherboard area. Now, as you can see, the cage inside our case doubles up to serve the motherboard and the power supply. Rather than give support for other form factors, 250D only has compatibility for mini-itx, so there's 4 standoff screws on the roof of the cage for such a board. Now the power supply, it sits inside this cage, and there is support for longer power supplies if you do have one. The one that we've got installed here is a standard ATX, and we've just got a few things to note here. And the first thing is there's no anti-vibration pads for the power supply, but there is a removable dust filter underneath, and you don't need to turn the case on its side in order to extract that. And because of the condensed size of 250D, cable management can be tricky. There is some space inside there if you've got a smaller power supply like us, and so just a thought here, I'd like to have seen something perhaps which is interchangeable to assist with better cable management inside the chassis. Around the back of the case we have the access to the hard drive storage, and you can see here we've got this plate which is perforated, and usually we have a selection of 4 thumb screws to fix that in place, and I've just taken those out to make it easier for the video. We'll take that out. You can see here this just provides a little bit of protection for that hard drive cage. And inside here we can house up to 4 drives, so you've got a selection of 2.5 inch or 3.5 inch. I'll just take one of these out just to show you. You can see here we've got a 3.5 inch, and as usual this tray just has pins on the sides, and those go in there to provide a tool-free solution for that. And if I just slot that back in, we've also got some smaller ones which are for 2.5 inch, and you can see here again we've got the pins on the side to offer a tool-free solution. So usually for a 2.5 inch we have the larger tray, and you just drop in your screws underneath, so you need a screwdriver. But I really like the fact that Corsair have actually thought outside the box and introduced this tool-free type of thing that we see on a 3.5 inch for the smaller form factor. Also around the back we have 2 PCI covers which have the ventilation cutouts and respective thumb screws. So this enables you to use a discrete graphics card. You can actually fit a full-sized high-end solution here, and that's something we'll explore as we go into the clearance options a little later. Over on the left there we've got some optional placements for dual 80mm cooling fans if you want to enhance the cooling inside the case, though those type of fans, they aren't the most readily available. As we've already shown, there is allocation for a single optical drive or a 5.25 inch device, and Corsair have actually integrated a tool-free mechanism in order to get these things in and out. You can see here we've got this clip. You simply pull that back, slot your drive in, and then you put it into place again, and these 2 pins simply fix into the mounting holes. Clearance is going to be important to those wanting to know the limitation of this case. So for the CPU cooler, there is 140mm available for the maximum height. Our cooler here is bundled with the Zotac board. It's low profile, so obviously it has no issues there. And then turning our attention to the graphics card, here we have a generous space for high-end options. Corsair has actually engineered this case to allow up to 12 inches or 305mm. So this is going to cover all flagship cards that are currently on the market. And for those interested in the clearance for the 240mm radiator, there is 2.25 inches or 5.5 centimeters. Right guys, for our final clip, and to kind of understand roughly how loud those case fans are inside 250D, I'm going to take my microphone off, I'm going to spark the system up and get that mic as close to those case fans as possible. And obviously we've got the 120mm on the side, and then we've got the 140 at the front. So I'll spark her up. Okay, I think that just about does it. So that should give you a rough idea. You know, this audible sound level type of thing is very subjective, but I think those case fans are actually they're not disruptive, they're tolerable, and I actually think Corsair have done a great job with these, and they're in key areas, so they're going to do quite well on the cooling performance. And if you want to know exactly how these case fans perform, make sure you go to the link in the description, because obviously we've got the full review over there, and that gives the graphs and the performance. Right guys, well that brings to a close our video today. As we've seen, this dainty little number here, it carries with it many of the traits from the previous Obsidian series models. and obviously it's a lot smaller, and it really is the missing piece to the puzzle. Mini-itx cases nowadays, they're really becoming quite popular, and it makes perfect sense for Corsair to design such a case with this form factor in mind. And so to summarise, 250D, it has great, sleek, professional styling, it has great build quality, and inside you can house big high-end graphics cards, flagship models. Inside there we can also got the allocation for a 240mm radiator, so that's covered. We've got a 2.5 inch and a 3.5 inch hard drive support inside there as well. The only niggle that we can really think of with this case is the cable management. It can be quite tricky, so you have to get quite creative in the way that you arrange things. And so around this price point that you can find the 250D, it's up against some fierce competition. But we've no doubt, because it's part of the Obsidian family, it's got a big following, it's got a big fan base, it'll have no problems. So that pretty much brings to a close everything we have to say today. Thanks very much for taking the time out to watch this video. If you're interested in taking a look at higher quality playback, then we now upload to Vimeo. The link is in the description, as well as the full review over there. So until next time guys, take care, and I'll see you very soon.